to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. The Fantasy Footballers Podcast, Monday, November 25th. It's Megalodon Week. We're happy to be with you. You know, sometimes a weekend is a break, and sometimes coming to work is the break. And I feel like I'm getting the weekend of my weekend right now.
Oh, really?
Like this is the break from what was supposed to be a weekend. I was just very...
Yeah, you.
I had a lot of dad responsibilities this weekend, and I feel like this is our chance to kind of – we haven't seen each other
No,
in a while.
This is a rare situation where the three of us this weekend did not watch any football together. We usually are the three of us in the studio with our giant TV wall trying to take in every snap of every game at the same time and
and reacting together and
melt.
And, yeah.
But yeah, this, Mike was traveling. You were at home. I was in the studio, and so now it's like we get here this morning, and it's like we got to hit record because all we want to do is talk about all the things that happened this weekend. And like, what did you think of this? What did you think of that?
Well, and you just got here, so we had to hit record
right
as well.
Yeah, I was coming in a little hot.
But a lot of
the
football.
kids are on break.
Yeah, are your kids on break right now?
My kids are not on break yet.
Mine
No,
neither.
It was the morning workout.
No, I know. I did. Some kids are getting like the whole Thanksgiving week off, but not.
Are your kids off?
Yeah.
Oh man.
What did they? They didn't do this for me when I was a kid.
They didn't do it for me either. This is a new one, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, no, I mean,
I slept till 7 a.m.
Yeah, you were
Still
here,
dropped
though.
them off at school. They just don't have any.
But we have a lot of football to talk about. I think I selected some of the worst puns I've ever selected
Okay.
for Monday Punday. So good luck on those ones. And we have a lot of studs and duds to talk about. We got a pretty neat, ready-to-roll segment today, breaking down some of the rookie quarterbacks. And I'm just thankful the Foot Clan's here, listening in, tuning in, getting ready for one more game in which, tonight, the Horror Bowl. And I need some help. I need Lamar and Zay Flowers to outscore Mark Andrews by 30.
Okay, so that's
doable.
Doable.
Very
That's
doable.
But you're in it. That's not like there is no, I think, perceived expectation of who wins and loses that.
To me, I'm just going to count Lamar as 30 points, and it'll be Zay Flowers versus Andrews heads up. That's why I'm looking at it. So we'll see what happens tonight.
I'd rather be on the Zay Flowers side.
Yeah. And what I am rooting for is, and I apologize, but I'm rooting for a defensive slugfest with very few fantasy points scored. I got league medians that I've got no one else left to score, and right now I'm in it, but I just need everybody to suck today.
Like the Cardinals.
Oh, man.
Man. All right. Here are your Monday Punday reactions.
Yes.
Thank you for submitting these gems.
We didn't write these. I'll kick it off because I played him, baby. What do we got? Amir Abdullah. What?
Oh, you're supposed to accentuate the
Abdullah.
ooh la la.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Maybe you should have kicked it off.
Yeah, I should have.
Let's go with Cortland Strutton.
And I guess we're going this way. Nico Ballin.
Jalen, what the heck was that all about?
It was awesome. Oh, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, he was good. And we've got Saquon Gnarly.
Napalm Barkley.
I like that one. Noah Great. Wait,
Who played him?
Noah.
Why, he was still good.
Okay, that's Noah Gray, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Ye McBride.
Or Josh Tracobs?
Oh, but they're not all good.
No.
Kyler Worried.
And Cade Rotten.
Oh, no. Oh, Broke Bowers.
Oh, that's good. Tyreek Hill. Oh, man. What a loser.
Sham Laporta.
God, hold on. Doo-doo Samuel.
That's how has that never been? That is right. That's a layup. Doo-doo Samuel. That's great. Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, and DK Metcalf.
Oh, this is the first time he's ever been on this list. Probably Christian McCaffrey or McCrappy? McCrappy.
Joe Mixon.
And Amon Blah St. Brown.
What a weekend. Amon-Ra, CMC,
Joe Mixon.
Jonathan Taylor, all in the duds list.
You know who wasn't in the duds list? Who I had the privilege of facing this week because, you know, fantasy football? Keenan freaking Allen.
Dude.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him on the opponent's team. Thrilled.
Dude. There were some.
Then his first touch, he fumbles.
There were some players this week that were basically not just drop candidates. They were dropped.
Yeah. Oh,
They were recommended drop. Like, I'll take my L. I mean, Michael Pittman. Get rid of him. He's a bum. He's the third on the target pecking order. No, he's awesome. He's great. With Anthony Richardson, he's going to be fantastic. Keenan Allen. There were so many players that were like, I mean, Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Who have just been so horrifically bad, and now all of a sudden, this was their week. This is their time to shine, which I guess when you're dealing with a bunch of bye weeks, that's great because a lot of these players actually were in lineups due to bye weeks, but it was this weekend, man, was crazy. Jordan Addison. I mean, just like
with Jefferson, absolutely horrible for fantasy. This is why, if you make the playoffs, you can win the championship. Mike's 18-4 because we play with median in our dynasty league. His 18-4 team faced a 1-21 team this week and got blown out.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how this week felt. This week felt like the top players were Jordan Addison, Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, David Moore, Jacoby Myers. Those just felt like the best players to start this week. And, of course, they were. I
feel like Bucky Irving didn't get any credit in the Monday Punday, but, frankly, nobody could come up with something valuable there. There was a Bucky serving, and I was trying to tie it into Thanksgiving, but we didn't get there.
Nah.
Welcome to Ready to Roll, presented by Nissan.
It's almost like you can't predict what's going to happen in the NFL.
Not perfectly.
Not 100%, yeah.
No, you just have to stack the odds in your favor each and every week.
And find a way to make it fun in the meantime, in the process.
Yeah. That's what this show's about. 1 in 12, 1 in 10, they win the title. And we want you to enjoy the season. All right. Into Ready to Roll, and we picked this week to take a look at the rookie quarterbacks that are performing at a very high level this year and maybe put them into a historical context, because in Week 12, 3 of the top 6 fantasy quarterbacks happen to be rookies. Jaden Daniels, who threw a, what was it, 86 yards?
Something like that.
Touchdown to nearly end the game until the extra point was missed, was the #1 quarterback. Caleb Williams, number 3 on the week. By the way, that was, I had forgotten, that was the almost upset. That's as almost as you get. Overtime, lost to Minnesota. And then Bo Nix at number 6 on the week, which I think kind of felt like a disappointment.
It really did. To be honest, all 3 of these players were a disappointment through a large portion of the game this week, where it was like the end of specifically the Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams games. The end of those 2 games were absolutely bonkers insane, and so many fantasy points came when you just thought everything was gone. Everything was out of reach, even to the point of the game should be over, but defensive players are scoring touchdowns instead of going down, so your player gets to get back on the field and throw, and it just wild. But, yes, historically, we looked at basically 32 quarterbacks that have started 12 games because we're 12 weeks in. Slight exceptions. Josh Allen had 11 starts as rookie, or Caleb Williams has already had his bye week, so he's only had 11. But for the most part, that's what this data is.
Yeah, 32 rookie quarterbacks dating back to 2008. In fantasy points per game, right now Jaden Daniels is sitting at 6th but maybe more interesting, Bo Nix sitting at 10th.
That's outrageous.
Out of
man.
those 32 quarterbacks dating back, the 32 rookies dating back to 2008, Jaden is behind Cam Newton, RG3, Herbert in 2020, Stroud last year, and Kyler Murray. He's actually tied with Kyler Murray at 19.9. Bo Nix is sitting at 18.4, though. And I think even just showing, like, that's a 1.5 gap between what Bo Nix is doing this year and Jaden Daniels, who started so hot that I think –
and Bo was the opposite. I mean,
yes.
in the first month of the season, in a 4-point passing touchdown, he was 11 points or fewer in 3 of the first 4 games. And then
since
just
week 5, Bo is the quarterback 3 in fantasy. The quarterback 3 since that first month of his season. It's unbelievable.
And they're starting to lean on Marvin Mims more, Jason. I don't know if you saw that.
Big
key to success for Bo Nix.
I don't believe it. I refuse to accept it, and I want to focus on Sean Payton saying really good things about Troy Franklin.
Oh, because it was a season high for targets for
boy.
Mr. Mims, all the way up to 5.
Did he catch them?
He caught 3 of them.
Oh, that's it. I thought he had like 4. Okay,
he had 2 carries.
So 6th, 10th, and 14th. Caleb Williams is sitting 14 of 32. So for all of the kind of shade thrown on Caleb Williams, that's still that's above the halfway point for all the rookie quarterbacks that we looked at. Passing yards per game, they're all middle of the pack right now in terms of the context of rookie performances. They're not putting up huge yardage numbers, 17th, 18th, and 20th. But completion percentage, Jaden Daniels is number 2 since 2008 among all rookie quarterbacks, 68.4%.
Behind only Mac Jones, superstar rookie quarterback.
That was such a good rookie year for Mac Jones.
They went to the playoffs, right?
Maybe that's your I hope that's not Bo Nix, right?
100%. Yeah, I mean, this is not a guarantee of future success, but there's certainly huge optimism here for most of this rookie class. And we've talked about Caleb Williams specifically. Like, I feel like we've seen enough to believe he will be a franchise quarterback as opposed to what we saw from Bryce Young in his rookie year. But the name we haven't really talked hardly at all about is Drake May. And what we actually think, because in the first game or two, it was like I liked a lot of what I saw, but I feel like I'm pretty disappointed in.
I think he's doing the best he can do with what he's got. Honestly, I think he's actually not that bad. He's got a 65.5% completion percentage, which is above Bo Nix, which is above Caleb Williams. He's not in the sample when we looked at those 3 guys.
He's literally surrounded by booty.
He is literally surrounded. He's literally surrounded by booty. Like when booty is your top.
Good to be back.
You can leave now. I mean, we peaked.
Mike showed up, and you can leave. No, when your top target is booty, you're not going to put up big numbers.
Oh man.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
But yeah, I mean, I think Drake May's fine. I do. I think I don't view him. I think him and Caleb Williams are actually performing at a similar level right now, not the Bo Nix level.
Yeah, I mean, look the other 3 guys like Cortland Sutton he has never come through. I think for what we had hoped he was going to be when he entered the league. I think he was a 2nd-round pick, but it was like he's a good player. Of course, the Bears have their weapons, and then Terry McLaurin. So it's like Drake May compared to these other guys is just he's got half the cards.
Hey, I didn't notice any Anthony Richardson in the completion percentage area of the rookie stats. Is he not?
He doesn't.
Kyle, do you know where he registers?
I don't think he has 11 starts yet.
Oh, you're probably right.
It's also
he's more of a rookie than
really
these 3
is.
rookies.
100%.
The Richardson game is so weird.
This week you're saying?
Yes. Because
it was weird.
11 for 28, 39% of his passes completed, 172 yards. But it
wasn't that bad.
There was a full dropped touchdown. Like we're talking a slant route hit what was it, Ogletree?
It was Ogletree.
Hit him right in the hands for a touchdown.
Ugly tree.
And then Harditz had tweeted out he had 70 passing yards called back on penalties.
Yeah.
The freaking penalties. Oh my. We're back.
They still scored
formation.
6 points. And,
Yeah.
and it wasn't as bad as the box score for sure. And he had some yards on the ground. But yeah, any chance I have to to take a shot.
I will say that there were missed opportunities, and his game was slightly better than what the box score says. But also the box score says it was horrific, and it was a little better than that. It was still bad. There were plenty of plays out there because what I was focused on for Anthony Richardson was consistency and accuracy. Like, because he had it the previous game. Like, is this what's developing? And that was 100% not there. What you saw in this game was still a couple incredible throws and a couple just absurdly ridiculous. Like, whoops. Like, is it raining in that dome? Why is the ball coming out of your hand like that?
I think it's also, worth at this point highlighting because this will transfer over to next year. People, we're talking about 32 rookie quarterbacks since 2008. So, like, this is not normal what is happening. And, especially for the, like, Terry McLaurin being a top-tier fantasy player, they're Cortland Sutton, their weapons doing what they're doing. Don't let that lull you into a false sense of confidence next year when we're drafting rookie quarterbacks, top wide receivers.
Right. Although we are seeing
it's not impossible.
Well, yeah,
it's just the probability is still very low.
Yeah, I think it is low, but I think it is changing because
perhaps we'll need to do
we're
like
seeing slightly more. We've seen it at the tight end position a little bit from the rookies. I think we're seeing slightly more. A higher probability is there.
Yeah.
Over time. And,
possible.
And I mean, I think people are going to win championships with Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels this year. Like, Bo Nix has the 8th easiest schedule the rest of the way. They letting him throw it around. He's playing great football, and Jaden Daniels, he's got some matchups in the playoffs. If you can get through Philly in Week 16, which, when you have rushing baseline, you can get through a game like that. I think championships are going to be won on the back of 2 rookie quarterbacks. I really do.
The rushing yards is a huge one. Of Jaden's averaging 46 yards a game. Bo Nix is at 25 and Caleb's at 30. Like, that is a huge deal. And
the only reason I say that I think it might be changing a little bit is just because, last year C.J. Stroud points per game was the 4th highest of that stretch. You had Herbert in 2020, and now you've got these guys this year. It's always going to depend on the situation you're in and the offense you're in. I mean, there are players right now that Caleb Williams was doomed to die until they made this change at offensive coordinator. Right. The last 2 weeks, he's looked better. Did Caleb Williams just hook into the matrix and upgrade his software? I mean, it was a change in the offense.
And a kind of a perfect situation for him to have to chuck it.
Yeah. And Sean Payton's doing great stuff with Bo Nix, whereas Drake May has booty right now.
Yeah. And no offensive line.
Yeah, so
I'm just thrilled that we have this draft class because it wasn't long ago that we thought there was an incredible draft class that had Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson and Trey Lance and Justin Fields and it was
right.
Yep.
Mac
Jones was in that one. I mean, you were like, this is the future of the NFL.
How many?
It was not.
How many touchdowns does Sutton have on the year, and how many touchdowns does McLaurin have on the year so far?
I don't know those off the top of my head. You can look them up, but I know that both wide receivers are top 10. That is crazy right now.
Sutton is at Sutton only has 5.
And where's McLaurin?
Let me look that up. His name is Terry McLaurin.
I'll talk over
your
search. 7. Because we were talking about the one piece, because I did an article on rookie quarterback performances before the year when we looked at Stroud, and the one thing that we saw was that, generally speaking, they did not raise the bar unless they had a Hall of Famer. Like, they could not get their wide receivers to those top performances or to double-digit touchdowns. That's what we had seen historically among rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, if they had Reggie Wayne or Steve Smith.
Keenan Allen. Yeah, Adam Thielen was one, ironically, the year before.
This is certainly breaking that mold because I think Terry McLaurin and Cortland Sutton are good wide receivers, but they are not that caliber.
And number 1 overall picks was generally a much higher bar than the other ones. But, yeah, this is an outlier year to Mike's point of not overreacting. So that was ready to roll. Thanks again to our sponsor, Nissan, and the all-new reimagined Nissan Kicks. Take on the city with the Nissan Kicks' bold new look, plus safety features like the Nissan Safety Shield 360 technologies that'll have your back in traffic. Head over to nissanusa.com to learn more. Nissan Safety Shield technologies can't prevent all collisions or warn in all situations. See the owner's manual for important safety information.
News and notes from around the league. Presented by USAA Insurance.
Well, rarely a week goes by where we don't have news on Brian Robinson Jr. getting
Seriously.
banged up. He injured his right ankle in the first quarter, returned, and then was ruled out in the second half.
Him returning just visually, again, I'm not a doctor. Not sure people understand that about
That you're not a doctor?
My background, yeah. The way I speak,
Right.
sometimes it gets confusing. But that tackle was a, Brian Robinson is in big trouble.
His season was over.
Yeah.
I mean, when that tackle happened, and it looked like it was.
Was it hip drop?
It
little
sort
bit
of looked like it, yeah.
The player did kind of come down on it and bent him back, but I don't think it was. I don't think it was specifically a hip drop style of the beginning of the tackle. However, it was bent back over. You worried about the knee as well because you couldn't really tell.
That's hip drop.
If the foot
I'm
was
watching it right now.
okay.
Yeah.
You couldn't really tell where the foot was, so you thought, man, he could completely destroy his knee on a tackle like that. You could break your fibula.
This is exactly what happened to Joe Mixon when he got hip dropped and then tried to come back in that same game.
Right.
Then got ruled out. Then Joe Mixon missed what? 4 weeks?
3
weeks. So, I mean, we've not had a lot to say about running backs on waiver day because
Well, and Austin Eckler,
he's probably rostered.
Austin Eckler at the very, very, very end of the game had a brutal concussion. He's getting the concussion protocol.
For a second time this year.
Yes, correct. So he will not play this week. Jeremy McNichols.
Yeah, now we have a name.
Yeah.
Yeah, McNichols has been pretty good in his opportunities. So I did not see the Eckler concussion. Josh Downs left the second half with a shoulder injury for the Colts. That's a bummer. David Montgomery left the second half with a shoulder injury. They said he could have returned, and Dan Campbell said when asked about Monty, there are bigger fish to fry. They could give him a week. I mean,
see.
They could give him time because they are 9-1.
He was Dan Campbell. We'll see how he talks during the week, but I mean, and it's their Thanksgiving, right? So they're in a game here in just a couple days.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll just guess that Montgomery will sit.
He'll be fine.
Well,
I don't have Montgomery on any teams.
He'll be fine, Michael.
So I will guess that he will sit
He's
out.
Totally okay.
Not a doctor, Jason?
I'm not yet, but I think he's absolutely fine. He's clearly going to play.
Can you imagine if Jason was a doctor, but he was treating the fantasy players? He was treating these players and
I think there'd be a little bit of a conflict of interest, if I'm being honest.
Really?
A little bit.
Like,
yeah.
If they're on your team, you might give them different medical reports.
Yeah. Or if they're on my opponent's team, I mean.
Yeah, it's like the QB's getting the concussion check.
Yeah.
You're like, that guy, I don't think he's okay.
Dude,
he's good to go.
I'd pump him full of steroids and alert anonymously the league and be like, you got to test that dude. Oh, he's out. Who's got the backup? Oh, I already have him. Yeah, baby.
I don't know if we're in jeopardy of Jason getting a medical license anytime soon.
Warfare in fantasy football.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Just juicing some guy's coffee.
Yeah, I mean, it's helping him make him stronger.
Romeo Doubs left with a concussion. They play on Thanksgiving too. You might as well rule him out now. Gardner Minshew out for the year with a fractured clavicle.
Thank you, Gardner.
Antonio Pierce said Aiden O'Connell could be activated off of IR as soon as Friday.
Which is their game.
They play, the Chiefs on Friday. This is actually, as someone who has the Chiefs defense, this is devastating news. I was fully hoping I'd get the Chiefs against Desmond Ridder.
I don't know that you're really scared about Aiden O'Connell either.
I would not be. Aiden O'Connell.
You ever seen Desmond Ridder, though?
I've seen Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, I'm thrilled no matter who.
Aiden O'Connell only has 2 picks in his 4 starts. That's not the numbers I'm looking for. I want 3 picks per game. I know Ridder can do that.
On the flip side, though, for people not just playing the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, Brock Bowers takes a hit. Jacoby Myers, this is a real shame that Gardner Minshew is out because he's not a superstar quarterback, but he can
competency.
He's competent. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, my Amir Abdullah.
You're Amir Abdullah. Jatavian Sanders left yesterday's game with a neck injury. Panthers rookie tight end.
Oh, that one was scary.
Still being evaluated. Yeah, that one was scary. And then Ladd McConkey, still questionable for tonight with a shoulder injury. We don't need to get into Rodgers news.
I think you at least have needed.
Okay.
Yes.
The news that is spreading is, that the Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to play for the Jets anymore.
Well, it's all
that it's
over
unlikely.
the place.
It's likely that they could place him on IR or bench him because he's had a bunch of injuries and refused to get scans on the injuries because
and the Jets are. I mean, they're cleaning house already. Like coach gone, GM gone. So it's just you got to at least pay attention to this.
That'll kill Garrett Wilson. That'll kill.
It won't
Devontae
kill,
Adams.
but it will.
Well, it's Tyrod, right?
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor. So in his own
guess,
right, though, if you're in a 2 QB league, now is the time. This waiver week tomorrow. Let's pick him up.
And it was also reported, I think it was Rossini saying that Rodgers wants to play next year, just not for the Jets. Like how? Like you can't bring all your dudes over there and then leave them.
Oh, he can.
Yeah.
I mean, if there is a villain left right now in the NFL, it's Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think he'll go out like this. That's the thing. I don't think he will just, like, if they bench him and put him on IR, I don't think he's not playing ever again, and this is the ending for him.
It's going to take –
he's owed $23 million.
It's going to take a strong team to take him on.
Yeah, or a really bad team.
Yeah.
It might take a bad team.
I mean, it's
Carolina.
The parallel here, no, dude. Bryce Young is that game against the Chiefs for Bryce Young.
He played pretty well.
He played fantastic. Like he's played really, really well since the benching. But I'm saying the parallels of Rodgers and the Brett Favre journey, they continue to be hilarious. But like the issues with
Minnesota,
the issues with Favre. Well, that's already being rumored too.
Yeah, well, I mean they won't. I mean,
because if McCarthy just had a second cleanup on his knee.
Yeah, McCarthy's injury is looking longer term.
Like Darnold probably has played himself into one of those like Baker type contracts for a team, so they're going to need somebody. But I'm saying the issues with Favre were he just kept saying he was going to quit, or just over each. It was like 5 years in a row. I'm going to retire. Did retire?
Yeah, it was just it wasn't skip training camp.
It wasn't the yes. He didn't want to do training camp. It wasn't this stuff with Rodgers. This is a much bigger PR hit to take on.
Favre was likable. Favre was.
That's what I'm saying. I liked, even though it was annoying. I liked the Favre news.
You're forgetting how it was.
By comparison to Aaron Rodgers, I mean, Aaron Rodgers needed to die a hero. You know, the line, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. He's 100% villain.
It was awful. The Brett Favre saga of will he or won't he retire was exhausting.
I remember it was exhausting, but I do remember that after it finally ended, I wanted him back.
Well,
it was fun.
Part of his bonus, he came back and he played awesome for Minnesota.
He was really
like
good.
Rodgers has not come back and been awesome. So
no, he
winning is winning cures a lot of stuff.
Well, I think you were not here when we were talking about it, Mike. But like Devontae Adams, like Rodgers' Super Bowl predated Adams arriving in Green Bay. Like Adams never won a Super Bowl with Rodgers. It was 2008 that Rodgers won his Super Bowl, which is now 16 years ago. Like the luster.
There's no place that Aaron Rodgers can go and win. There's none. I
don't think so.
They had a great defense. He was given all the weapons. He's got Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams. They did everything to help him win. He's not good enough. He's too. I mean, it's done. It's over. And I don't think an NFL team gives him a job next year.
All right, that was today's news and notes presented by USAA Insurance. Learn more at usaa.com/insurance. We'll take a quick break and get back into or jump into the studs.
This week's Fantasy Stud Muffins.
Well, we already talked about Jaden Daniels. He was number 1 on the week. Mahomes was number 2. Tua Tagovailoa, number 3. Caleb Williams, number 4. And Sam Darnold on the back of Jordan Addison coming in at number 5. Studs at the quarterback position.
I think Mahomes is an interesting conversation point because he spent a year and a half being irrelevant, not scoring 20 fantasy points pretty much ever in fantasy football. And as soon as we moved away from him about a month ago, he has been –
we call that waddling, when you waddle back into relevance.
3 of the last 4 weeks, he's been a quarterback 1, twice the quarterback 4 on the week, barring tonight. So and with good performances.
And look, it's a couple of factors. One, he has Hopkins. He's got Worthy. He's got Juju back. He's got Noah Gray. Can't be stopped. Has Travis Kelce. He's got some players, and we'll soon have Pacheco. The other part is that the Chiefs' defense just isn't that good. It's good, but it's not that good. Like, statistically speaking, they're really good against running backs, but they are giving up points. The Panthers push them to the brink, and fantasy-wise, they're not scoring a lot of points. I think both of those factors, Mahomes is having to do a little bit more. The running game without Pacheco, I don't know if that'll change things. But, yeah, I mean, these games are all close. Every Chiefs game is close.
Next week is Vegas, then the Chargers for Patrick Mahomes. So let's all be hopeful. Let's all be hopeful that we can get the high-flying Kansas City Chiefs back.
Tua threw 4 touchdown passes. He threw for 317 yards, and he still couldn't get Devon Achane 25 receiving yards. What is wrong with you? 24?
Well, he's too busy throwing 144 yards to my dude Jalen Waddle.
Well, and then Jonnu Smith has been just a revelation.
I think Jonnu Smith is the new Tyreek Hill, right? Like the number 1 target for this team, the one that Tua looks for. Jonnu has been so involved. And
you mean 9 for 87 and a touchdown? Because that's pretty cool.
Tyreek is –
what is going on?
Well, we can't talk about that in the studs. We have to keep that for the – there's another segment.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And it's about poop. All right? So it's right where he fits in.
All right, okay.
What a weird game for Baker Mayfield, because he threw for 294 yards. He had a rushing touchdown. He did not throw a passing touchdown as the – a guy contending for that league lead.
It was such a weird game. So this is, if you weren't watching it actively, they are blowing out. I mean, they're just destroying the Giants. And they have 2 drives in a row where basically what happened, and we couldn't understand, my co-manager in the League of Record, this is our quarterback. So we're watching intently. And we're like, oh, they're up by a ton. They're not going to throw. And instead, they never ran the ball. They had drives in a row where they're up like 30 points. It was like a 90-yard drive, and I'm pretty sure 89 of the yards were all passing, and then they get on the goal line and have rushing touchdown. I'm like, stop it!
There were 4 players on the Buccaneers that had rushing touchdowns. It was Baker, it was Tucker, it was Irving, and it was Rachaad White. So it was like –
and they tried to give Tucker the second rushing touchdown. He was on the goal line, so he vultured the first one.
Seems like that's what they're going to be doing, man.
And then the next time down, they gave him another one, but he fumbled on the goal line, and they lost the ball. But Baker, he played outstanding. I mean, he has just been so good this year. I think you stick with him, and I would put him in that same category along with Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels of league winners that you might not have expected to be at the beginning of the season.
We'll talk about his running back here in a second, because the running back studs this week, number 1, Saquon Barkley, who went
Napalm Barkley.
Just insane. Whew. I mean, he's now entered the MVP chat at running back. He has more yards in the last 2 games than I think 3 or 4 NFL teams. Jacksonville, for example. 26 for 202 rushing touchdowns and another 47 through the air. He was number 1 on the week.
In the last 2 games, he is on pace for a 17-game pace of 3,400 rushing yards.
Yeah, it's been wild. Josh Jacobs, 3 touchdowns, finished number 2 on the week. Baker's guy, who I've been trying to convince Al Borland is a great player, Bucky Irving, number 3 on the week, 12 for 87 and 1. What I love about Bucky Irving, and this is coming from somebody who didn't think Irving would be able to completely unseat Rachaad White because of how great White is in the passing game. Well, Irving's great in the passing game too.
Mm-hmm.
And, Mike was very quick to say, hey, watch out for Bucky Irving in the preseason. Irving always gets the extra yard. When he is running, he runs with a ferocity like a James Conner. He is a tackle breaker. And
he out-snapped Rashad White.
I mean, Bucky Irving's fantasy output recently his last 2 starts, he's number 7 and number 3 on the week. He is entering that category of, look, they like to depend on the run in that offense. And if he keeps doing what he's doing now.
Well, and it's not even just the run. Like you said, he's a very good pass catcher. That was what he was, I feel like, more known for in college anyways. But it's 6 for 64 through the air, in addition to the 87 hard-fought yards on the ground. He's been exceptional.
Yeah, and so he's entering that category of, obviously a must-start, but maybe a league winner. Jahmyr Gibbs, 21 for 90, 2 rushing touchdowns, ho-hum, RB3 on the year while sharing the backfield.
I mean, he didn't share it as much this last game because Montgomery did go out with that injury and just stayed on the sideline for the whole game. I don't have the snap percentage in front of me.
No, but he did have his most opportunities of the year at 24.
Yeah, and I think that was directly because Montgomery wasn't there. So if Montgomery does sit on the short week, you're going to have – I mean, your DraftKings lineups need to all have Jahmyr Gibbs.
Tony Pollard, 24 for 119 and 1 in the upset. Devon Achane.
He's
2 touchdowns through the air, and you can't get me 25 yards. You can't get me 25 yards.
Him being in this studs with what 56 yards?
I mean, he was awesome. He was incredible for fantasy.
It's just
you don't like multi-touchdown games?
I don't know. I've said it on the show many times. I don't like how valuable touchdowns are. If you have 56 rushing yards and you're a stud, or 56 total yards, I'm sorry, it was not a studly performance. He just scored twice.
Yeah, I agree. But that's also what the best ones do. When they don't have a good week, they still have a good week.
I want to show you. JJ tweeted out in his the recap, the Sunday dump. Devon Achane is averaging 23.2 PPR points per game in the games that Tua has started this year. Christian McCaffrey last year was 24.5 PPR points when he broke fantasy football. Like in Tua's starts, Devon Achane is
an elite fantasy player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we had the Nick Chubb game, 2-touchdown game on Thursday night. Aaron Jones got back into the mix this week. Good performance, 22 for 106. That's who Detroit will be facing, Chicago on Thanksgiving. Amir Abdullah, 5 for 37 and the touchdown.
Choo-choo, baby.
Choo-choo.
Thank you, Amir.
He played 90% of snaps.
Hey, we're 7 years too late, but that's all right.
I never remember if I have to stop the train. I think I have to stop it. Yeah, I'm getting the word it will go forever.
Train can't stop a train.
David Montgomery still scored before.
Trains can't stop.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yes.
Wait, what was that? What was the
Trains can't stop. You can.
Yeah,
is that it?
Yeah, that was the.
That's a free ad for our
friends
at
at
NHTSA.
Yeah,
it's trains can't stop.
Yeah.
You can.
Correct. So
okay.
stop.
I mean, they're not wrong.
Trains can stop, but
okay.
Don't test the limits.
Because for a slogan to be like, trains can't stop in a reasonable amount of time, you can stop pretty quick, so you should be the one who stops. Like
right.
that
doesn't.
No,
it's
it
not
doesn't
catchy.
get it done.
Trains can't stop. You can.
Trains are huge. You're little.
Those were fun reads.
All right, wide receiver studs this week. Jordan Addison was number 1, Cortland Sutton number 2, Jalen Waddle number 3, DJ Moore number 4.
DJ Moore.
And I think in a lot of our flex discussions, I was cool flexing DJ Moore this week because the involvement, the forced touches, the fact the offense looked more competent, give your good players the football. That's my number 1 offensive strategy.
Yep.
If I take over a team, that's what I'm going to do.
Wild, though, is –
But they didn't do that in Minnesota.
In terms of targets and receptions, DJ Moore was actually identical to last week. 7 targets, 7 receptions. But this time he was the wide receiver 3. Last time he was not.
Yeah, he had the touchdowns. I think that really helped him.
Yeah.
The way that they are using him in the screen game post Shane Waldron's firing is so exciting because he's the type of player that if you use him the right way in the screen game, he can score touchdowns, which he did on a screen, and he can score them from the 10-yard line or the 80-yard line.
Jason, we were saying it all wrong. It's stop. Trains can't. They truncated from.
They got even shorter.
Yeah. It's pretty brief. Yeah,
Stop.
it's just stop. Trains can't.
Yeah,
it's just good advice to live by.
All right. Cortland Sutton continues his onslaught.
Yeah, 10 more targets caught, 80% of them, 2 touchdowns. He's the wide receiver 2 since week 8. He's on a heater.
And Puka Nacua Cooper Kupp kept it going from just a quantity standpoint. Every week they're getting double-digit targets. JSN, he has been on fire. It is happening.
Yeah.
Like every single week it's happening. The last 3 weeks, he's been a wide receiver 1 for 3 straight weeks.
He's the wide receiver 7 on the season. And I don't think –
he is.
With a D consistency in his life.
Well, when you have a 33-point game, I mean, you have basically 3 games at one. You juice your numbers.
Yeah.
But those are his last 3 games. Those last 3 games, obviously, very small sample. But that would be a 2,000-yard pace that he's on. 130 receptions, a touchdown a game. He's really elevated his play.
They're just throwing so much, too.
They are. Geno,
even when they shouldn't.
On the course of the season, I think Geno has looked really, really good.
Yeah, and Lockett is not.
He's on pace for
anything.
625 pass attempts on the year, which is a lot. That'll probably lead the NFL, I would guess. And Geno has his guys, and we talked. DK Metcalf's not in this segment again.
Yeah, and I think it's more Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf still had a couple deep bomb shots that were really close to coming through, but Lockett, it's been 5-6 weeks since he's had more than 3 receptions.
But we just got that question on the dynasty. JSN or
Sure,
Metcalf.
Yeah.
And then you got another week where Metcalf's outside the top 30 and JSN's in it. So tight ends, Noah Gray for the second time in 3 weeks sits atop our list. Noah Gray, do we care about this?
I think so.
I want to know because it's like, sorry, for the second time in 2 weeks?
Yeah, the last 2 weeks.
I thought he skipped a week. No, he just scored 2 touchdowns each of the last 2 weeks.
Correct. And it's hard to bank on that. He has 4.
You think?
He has 4 touchdowns on the course of the season. They're all in the last 2 weeks. Chasing that seems wrong. However, the way that they're using him, before the second touchdown, I was just starting to ask the question as I'm watching this game, like, should we be actually looking at Noah Gray as someone that you can pick up and start? And then he got another touchdown. It felt very much like he is an important part of an offense that, I mean, if they're looking to him around the goal line, it's hurting Travis Kelce.
It's one of those things where, like, if there are other tight ends in the category of touchdown or bust that you might start, which it feels like Tucker Kraft is that.
Yes.
Tucker Kraft is if you score, you're happy, and if you don't, you're not. If you're in that category, how can Noah Gray not be in that conversation? If he's out there, I mean, he played. I don't know what his snap count was this week, but I think Brooks is looking that up. He
44 snaps to 66 for Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I mean, he played 76% of snaps the week before when he had that production. Like, if you're on the field and you're getting open and they're having to account for Kelce,
possible.
I'm not saying go get him. Like, I don't think I'm fighting for him or anything. But if you are desperate, they did commit to him, 3-year, $18 million extension in the offseason. So they are good at finding players to distribute the ball to. So Trey McBride, 15 targets, 12.
19 points. Trey McBride clearly scored at least a receiving touchdown.
Impossible.
You think that just because he got 19 fantasy points?
Yeah.
And do you also think that because he's often wide freaking open in the end zone? Is that part of why?
That's part of it, yeah.
You think he caught one? There is some
hex.
Yeah. I think he is invisible when he's in the end zone. Kyler Murray cannot see him.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think he appears 12 feet tall to Kyler, who throws it to the 12-foot mark, and it's always I mean, there have been so many wide-open touchdowns if he just threw it at a normal height.
Yeah.
But anyways, 12 for 133. Honestly, this performance is annoying. It's great if you have Trey McBride, but it's annoying because it was just the product of ineptitude. This many targets to Trey McBride was like the last resort because we suck.
It was a binky. It was literally like Kyler Murray's binky was Trey McBride.
Kyler Murray's binky.
And sometimes I've never seen like a more schizophrenic split personality player than Kyler Murray. You come out and he either looks like a world-class quarterback, a top 5 guy in the NFL, carves up a good defense or a bad defense, can do no wrong, and then the next time you see him, it's like he's never played quarterback before. He has no idea what he's doing.
And it lasts the whole game.
The whole game, both times.
It's like you drink poison, and the poison doesn't go away. He never like has a game where halfway through he fixes it.
No, I've never seen him start with a bad first half and finish strong.
Let me tell you something. I am so happy I traded him in fantasy because this performance this week in a matchup that he should have been good in, that they were favored or heads up in, this performance has happened 4 times this year and caused you to lose your fantasy weeks. And then he'll bounce back and have 2 games in a row.
I thought you were saying I'm so happy I traded Trey McBride. I'm like, what?
No. I said I'm so happy I traded Kyler Murray.
Okay.
Because Kyler Murray is too volatile. It's not good game, great game. It's bad game, great game, bad game, great game. That'll kill you in the fantasy playoffs. They have a great schedule. You got to win 3 matchups in most of your leagues in fantasy. You telling me you're getting 3 Kyler stud games in a row?
Maybe?
Nah.
Maybe. I mean, maybe's been the answer of his career.
Has he ever had 3 stud games in a row? Certainly not this year.
Not this year, no.
Okay, so Trey McBride was his binky, which is great that, he's there.
Great for McBride. Great for fantasy.
Jonnu Smith, 11 targets, 9 for 87 and a touchdown. He is the number 1 tight end since week 7. Outrageous performance.
He shouldn't be. I just feel like he hurts their offense. I
mean,
really
that since he's been more heavily involved, they've scored 27, 23, 34, and 34 points.
What are you talking about?
He helps their offense so much.
He
hurts you and what you want Tyreek to do.
Yes, Tyreek Hill is a better weapon on an NFL field than Jonnu Smith.
What?
Do you disagree with that?
Yes.
You do. So Jonnu Smith is a better weapon on an NFL field than Tyreek Hill.
The last 4 weeks he has been.
The results have been better for Jonnu Smith. I'm saying the human being on the field.
We don't know the severity of Tyreek Hill's injury, but it's starting to show itself.
I don't think he has a hand. I think his wrist is broken off, to be honest.
I mean, I just think it's a little bit hyperbolic to say he doesn't help their offense when they're scoring 1,000,000 points a game.
27, 27, 23, 34, 34.
Since he got on the field over 50% of snaps. I would say the opposite of what you said.
The last 2 weeks are the Raiders and the Patriots. They could have thrown to anyone. Odell Beckham could have had a good game if they wanted to go to him.
27 against Arizona's good defense. Buffalo, 27. 23 against the Rams.
You need go talk to Tyreek.
He's the tight end 1.
Jonnu is not the problem.
He's the problem for Tyreek.
Look, Tyreek.
Targets are earned, baby.
Yeah. You need to just unsay everything you just said.
All right.
You are a weirdo.
Just recommend Jonnu Smith. Do that.
Never.
George Kittle, another touchdown. I thought he scored 2. Did one get called back? That's how connected I was this weekend. I was just in the blender.
He's 6 for 82.
I probably got the same text twice.
George Kittle, man.
And that was without Purdy, who, as of right now, we are expecting Purdy to be back, but he's been –
George Kittle's so much worse for the offense than Debo.
George Kittle's amazing.
He's killing Debo. He's killing Debo, man. It's so bad.
Are you mad at Debo?
No. Am I mad at Debo? I wasn't mad.
I'm saying mad at the 49ers that Debo, they scored 10 points.
You should be mad at Kittle because he's not mad at Tyreek.
No, because Kittle is awesome. Kittle is actually a great NFL tight end, maybe the best in the league.
He's behind Jonnu since week 7.
You should be getting those type of players the ball more often. You guys are inflating bad defenses.
Oh, stop. They're scoring a million points.
Kittle has been marvelous.
Yes, he has.
So those bad defenses, though, just to be clear, Tyreek can't score against them?
Because of Jonnu Smith, yes.
I want to go watch the film because I hope Jonnu's jumping in front of the passing lane. I hope Jonnu is literally leaping up and just stealing or like grabbing it from Tyreek mid-play, because then I will agree with you. Hawkinson back at it, 7 for 114. Austin Hooper doing his best.
Go away, Austin Hooper.
His Hunter Henry.
Wait, no, he's so good. Targets are earned. Austin Hooper should get the ball a ton. Shut up.
Hunter Henry still had 8 targets.
Yeah, Hunter Henry had a pretty good game. 8 targets, 5 for 44 is like a little disappointing, but it wasn't.
You didn't have Tyreek in your DraftKings lineup this week, did you?
No, I didn't.
No, okay. All right.
I would never. I see Jonnu's involvement.
The Scoon Man got into the end zone. That's a nice one because we had been talking about him. And it doesn't – I mean, when you have a really low-profile tight end, it doesn't always go the way you hope.
Yeah, and only 4 targets. That was the most disappointing side of it, but he had a nice over-the-top touchdown that really saved his day.
All right. Well, we'll take a break. We'll jump into some of those bad performances like Tyreek Hill. All right. Let's talk – poop.
Pooped in his big boy pants.
Well, Kyler, we just talked about it. Didn't throw a touchdown. Had one called back on penalty. Had others he could have thrown, but chose to airmail Trey McBride, and he ends up with 285 yards, barely rushed. Kind of seemed slow to me. Or the edge guys in Seattle, they were ferocious. Their defense played great in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona's defense.
Bad game.
Arizona's defense gave up what, like
10 points.
10 points, and
10 total,
and the Cardinals lost.
Yeah, they were a double-digit fantasy defense and lost. Jared Goff, welcome back.
Not needed. It's a shame to be here, but Goff can always end up, since he doesn't have a rushing floor if he doesn't throw touchdowns and they're all rushed in.
He wasn't needed last week, and he threw 5. That's what was so annoying about it.
Yeah, you know who needed Jared Goff this week? Me.
Yeah, so Anthony Richardson. 11,
oh, yeah, I played him too.
11 for 28. This was not a good matchup. It never was. This one was the worst follow-up you can have to a QB5 performance because you had to play Detroit. They're just such a good man D, and that is where Anthony Richardson has struggled. He was 10 for 61 on the ground. He did fight, and he did make plays, and a lot of them were called back due to penalty or dropped or really close.
Yep. That was the story. It was just
but
close, but not good enough.
Yeah, the Lions defense is just really – they are such a complete team.
Yeah,
such a complete team.
They're the best team in the NFL, and I don't think it's close.
Yeah. Joe Mixon, 14 for 22 on the ground after his monster performance. He was facing a Tennessee defense that's very good. Did catch 5 passes. But this was his first bust game after he had taken over running back 1 in points per game. I will go out on a limb. Saquon's got it now. Saquon's definitely got it after this game and what Saquon did. Somebody explain Christian McCaffrey to me. Because
Brock Purdy. I really think that
yes.
Brock Purdy just made a lot of money this week sitting out. Because
the Packers were just would sell out to stop the run.
I agree with this in principle, but I want to go deeper.
Okay.
Because I've watched Christian McCaffrey play for 3 weeks since he's returned. And even in the Purdy game, both of them, I didn't feel like I saw the same player on the ground. Like Jordan Mason had a lot of success this year.
Yeah.
He's sitting right now at 3.5 a carry through 3 games on the ground. You can throw out the last game. That's fine. He's a little bit higher. He's at 3.7. But McCaffrey normally overcomes those things, and he normally has a break. He has a longer run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His long run of the season through 3 games, 13 yards. So to me,
part is what no touchdowns in 3 games.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm more asking about is will the ceiling arrive for McCaffrey before the end of the year? This division is kind of broken. I mean, where are you putting him in rest of season rankings at running back?
I'll probably have him top 5 still. I think when Brock comes back as the season goes on, he has all of the work for what is usually a good offense, even if he is 90% of who he was last year. I mean, that's still probably a top 5 running back. But I get your fear and your concern. This is a guy who obviously has a significant injury that kept him off the field for a while. He's, 28 years old. He's, the San Francisco 49ers, they've got to figure things out
they gotta
really
they
quick.
got to get their groove back.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's coming back if Purdy is not healthy. Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, man.
11 for 35.
Detroit's run defense is really tough. We knew it would probably be a bad game, but
No targets.
no targets is the real problem. No targets and no opportunities really to score touchdowns because, and again, we just discussed how good the Lions defense has been. They shut down the Colts. The Colts could do nothing all game, but it was like the way that Jonathan Taylor is used is just not that good with Anthony Richardson. He doesn't get those leak outs, the check downs, the really valuable stuff that he's still very good at, just not the way that his quarterback plays. So I think you're going to enjoy easy matchups, soft defenses, where you expect the Colts to win. In a game against Detroit, that's not the recipe for success.
James Conner received 7 rushing attempts and had 8 yards. The Cardinals, while struggling on offense, which, by the way, if you watch the Cardinals play football, the entirety of their success on offense this year has been predicated on giving James Conner the ball, who breaks more tackles than anybody in football. They gave him 7 attempts in 4 quarters.
Weird.
He caught 5 passes. He had 2 big plays called back on penalty. It was a just disappearing act. It was so frustrating because the way you win if you're Arizona is to hand the ball off, and they didn't do it.
Yep.
Well, it was rainy. You got to throw.
Yeah.
That was sarcasm.
Is that – no, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Tyrone Tracy, 9 for 42, fumbled for the second straight game. That's the worry.
Well, also the worry just of how they were splitting up the work.
There were some – if you had Jonathan Taylor, you hoped you played James Conner. If you had Tyrone Tracy, you hoped you faced Ramondre Stevenson and his 8 for 13 with no catches.
You also had kind of a shift. I believe that there were your boy.
Yes, Antonio Gibson outsnapped Ramondre.
Yeah.
Well, Ramondre was basically not doing anything.
Now,
they were getting shut out.
Without looking, I don't know if you've seen this yet, Javonte Williams had 8 carries. Do you know how many yards he had?
I do.
Oh.
8 carries, he's got to have at least
8 yards,
positive
right?
Yeah,
yardage.
you would think so. What did he have there, Jay?
-2 total rushing yards on 8 carries.
It wasn't like the other two
This
guys.
is part of why I love Bo Nix.
McLaughlin and Estime also didn't produce good numbers, so they didn't run.
McLaughlin was the hottest hand.
Yeah, but wasn't he like 4 for 40 or something?
7 for 44.
Okay.
I mean,
Sure.
yards per carry, and that's excellent. 7
Jason's
for 44.
point is
but
right.
you can't play any of them right now.
Bo Nix.
Yeah, you're not going this.
What did
running,
he do on the ground? Did he run at all?
Yeah.
Did Bo Nix happen to?
Let me get his exact.
This-
I bet he outrushed Javonte.
Oh, barely.
He had
1
5
for 5.
rushing yards this game. But the nice thing is, if you want to score, if you're the Broncos and you've got to score, it's not coming on the ground. The run defense, the offensive line, the actual running backs you have, they are a weakness for you, which is great news for Cortland Sutton and Bo Nix.
So at wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, 5 targets, 2 for 27.
He got Jordan Addison. I mean, you kept seeing these.
And Hawkinson, too.
Yeah, but, I mean, it was over and over where – and
I'm guessing you
fair,
got Jalen Johnston.
Addison was awesome. It just looked like they switched jerseys or something. Like he would, Darnold go deep. They'd throw the ball off the screen, and you're just hoping it's Justin Jefferson on the other side. And then you see this incredible catch while a guy is all over him, and you assume, oh, that had to have been Justin Jefferson. And then the little itty-bitty Jordan Addison gets up. He took so much that, I mean, Justin Jefferson had a bad game. And actually, recently he's had a stretch of not great games. I mean, the last 3 weeks, he was the wide receiver 33, the wide receiver 29, the wide receiver 60.
You throw this one away. This is Jalen Johnson.
He'll be back.
You need to give the credit where it's due. Addison took advantage of the opportunity, but Jalen Johnson is an all-pro, followed him all over the field the entire game, and the Vikings did what they should do, which is exploit matchups elsewhere. I mean, Hawkinson over 100, Addison nearly to 200. Normally Jefferson can overcome a bad matchup, but they didn't need to.
He'll be back.
By the way, if you were somebody out there definitely has been trying to figure out, Christian Watson or Jalen Waddle, which guy do I throw in for a big game? If you chase, you lose because Christian Watson had no catches. No catches.
Should have had one.
That's
he just had an epic drop.
I mean that's his career. Shoulda.
I'm just saying this wasn't the 3 targets is really disappointing, but one of them was a catastrophic drop.
Yeah, and Jaden Reed only 3 targets. Honestly, San Francisco without Brock Purdy, they were so bad. This game was out of hand early. 3 rushing touchdowns for Josh Jacobs. It was a weird game. I mean, Debo had a bad game. Juwan Jennings had a bad game. Ricky Pearsall had a bad game. That is part of what caused the wide receivers for Green Bay to have a bad game.
The 2 quick conversations here for what was it, Doo-Doo Samuel? Is that what we called him at the beginning?
1 for 21.
He was not playing as much. He was in on 11, and then on 12 he was in 12 personnel. He was ceding a lot of snaps to Ricky Pearsall, which is like you should at least put your eyebrows up and pay attention to it because it's not been great for Debo this year. And then Jaden Reed, what do we make of this where you could go, yeah, hey, he's the wide receiver 11 on the year, and yet since the first month of the season, after that it's been like he's had some goodish games.
I think Jason's right about the way this game ended up, not having to throw it a bunch. But this is why I wasn't going to put Jaden Reed into the category of, I'm going to panic trade CeeDee Lamb for him because he's not consistent enough. He's not integral. He's not elite enough to, go out there every week no matter what and get it done. So, yeah, it was Debo. I don't know if Debo's healthy. He was out with a calf injury earlier in the year. He was injured with a wrist injury a couple weeks ago. I think he's very injury prone. I think he's playing hurt. I think he's playing angry because this team is so frustrated. They're used to dominance. Now they're near the bottom of the division. Are they last place in the division? I'm seeing a nod from the 49er fan. Yeah.
They got to be – are they tied with the Rams?
The Rams are 5-5, right?
Rams
5-6.
Rams and Niners are both 5-6.
Okay. 1
game out of first.
Yeah. I mean, the Seahawks went from the basement to being tied with the Cardinals and then have the tiebreaker. So Tyreek Hill, 5 for 48 in a game where Tua had 317 yards.
Yikes.
George Pickens, 4 for 48 on Thursday night. Snow Bowl, not a bad game. Just throw that away.
It wasn't a bad game.
What do you do with Marvin Harrison? Because Marvin Harrison Jr., you drafted him to be an every week start. He has not been that.
I mean, you're going to start him every week, and you're going to be you've got to have him in your lineup to have the big performances. And this one was a millimeter away from
almost had the touchdown.
A touchdown, and you would have been totally fine with this performance.
I do think you can make – I mean, do you disagree with me that you can make different decisions with him? Because
yeah, I mean
you do disagree or you don't?
No. I think that he is someone that you need to take a strong look at and see what your other options are. But more often than not, I think he will end up in lineups as he should.
I think he's still a top 24 play.
Here's the problem, though. You want volume and yards, and you don't get it. You've only been happy in the games he's scored. No, he scored in 5 games. You've been happy in 5 games. Every other game, He has none of the, like you talk about McBride. He has none of those games.
Mm-hmm.
There's never I'm trying to look back here. His yardage.
He had 111 yards.
He had 111 yards in week 8.
130 yards in week 2.
Yeah, scored in both of those.
He's a rookie. I mean,
but he's averaging 49.6 yards a game. That's kind of the
right. That's disappointing.
And not PPR guy. 3 catches, 5 catches, 2 catches, 6 catches, 3, 0, 2. I don't know. I think, like, wouldn't you find yourself in a hard place right now if you go into next week and you just got what you got from Waddle and you got what you got from Harrison?
That one
wouldn't that be hard for you?
That one I don't think would be that hard.
You just go back to Harrison?
Yeah, Waddle's been so bad the entire season. One game feels like chasing.
But you'd play Sutton over Marvin
for
Harrison.
sure. Sutton. I mean, there are. I
what
agree
about
with
Addison?
your point.
What about Jordan Addison after that week?
I don't think I would go all the way to
wouldn't
Addison
chase
there. It's like you said.
What
with
about
the coverage
Tyreek
on
Hill?
Justin Jefferson? Tyreek Hill is a question mark. I don't know. Is Jonnu active?
Probably.
Then you know.
no.
Can you please say Hall of Famer Johnny Smith when you say his name?
No, I refuse.
He's made their offense so much worse. Number 1 in points scored.
They're playing against bad defenses.
For what, 5 weeks? They're doing what they're supposed to do.
Whatever.
I just wanted to argue about Johnny more because it's too entertaining. Brock Bowers 4 for 38 to disrupt your parlay partay.
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, that was partially that Gardner injury at the end of the game.
In Jonnu. But 10 targets, he only caught 4 of them. Cade Otton, 1 for 30. This one was concerning to me.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
This performance made me exceptionally happy I signed Taysom Hill. Because if the return of Mike Evans means Cade Otton is more hit and miss, I hope that's not what it means. Are you afraid of that?
Yeah, I think you are a little bit afraid of that. And
3 targets, 1 catch, 30 yards.
Yeah, I mean,
last 2 times he's played 35 yards and 30 after the 3-game breakout. So I think I'm scared.
I will still continue starting him. I need to see
just
multiple games in a row where, if
what's multiple?
2? I mean, multiple means more than 1.
Well, I just meant like you were going to say of bad games.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't consider the last game bad?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think so. Just this one.
I mean, he's in terms of routes, he still led the team.
Let me just ask you a quick question. Pulling names out of a hat here, totally random. Cade Otton or Johnny Smith moving forward?
Cade Otton.
What a liar! What a liar!
You're a bad.
The trade deadline's over, Jason.
A bad analyst. A banalist.
I don't like Jonnu Smith.
I don't.
Sometimes there's principle.
Is it because somewhere in there you're thinking back to last year where it was like the fantasy community wanted it to be Kyle Pitts, and yet Jonnu was the guy who kept doing stuff, and we were really, really mad at Arthur Smith for it. And maybe Jonnu's just a good player.
Scars.
Yeah, maybe
burns.
Jonnu just gets it done wherever he goes.
Maybe
not wherever.
Yeah.
He's had some bad years.
All right, Laporta 3 for 19. What a bust of a season for Sam Laporta.
The number 1 drafted tight end.
And you know what? He's not a worse player. It's just a complete team that can run the ball whenever they want to. That has a go-to wide receiver, that has an explosive wide receiver, that can play any way they want to play. They do not need to use them all the time. It's just a luxury.
It is. Well, it's crazy. He had 6 targets this week. It just didn't turn into anything.
And they, like last year, they didn't have a consistent number 2 receiver, and not counting the running backs. But and this year, Jameson Williams has not been like the greatest thing or anything, but he's earning targets on a weekly basis.
What was Jameson's line this week?
7 targets, 5 for 64.
So he was their leading receiver?
He might have been. Amon-Ra was
Amon-Ra was 6 for 62.
The last 3 weeks since Jameson Williams has come back, he's had 5 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets. He's definitely.
Oh man!
If these trends
continue.
Any parting words, gentlemen, before we move on to? Well, tomorrow we'll have waivers and streaming quarterbacks. Then we'll get into the Megalodon.
Oh man! Make sure you tune in on Wednesday there.
Turn it on.
Yeah.
Tune it in. for those that don't know, Wednesday is our Megalodon episode before the holiday, where we jam the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday shows all into one episode, an extra large, prehistoric-sized episode of the podcast where you can join us. We'll be doing some exclusive giveaways. Is this the 10th year of the Megalodon?
It would be. Our 10th mega.
So, we'll be excited to join you on Wednesday for that. Tomorrow will be waivers, and Jason can spend the day with those Jonnu Smith box scores. See how that goes. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.